Hello and welcome to RetroFind, the program in which I take a look at things I find in thrift stores or on the web. Today we're gonna take a look at this JVC double stereo cassette deck. So yeah, a JVC stereo double cassette deck. In fact, this is the TD-W503. It's a bookshelf unit weighing 4.5 kilograms. I found it in a local thrift store. A thrift store I go to a lot, and I bought it for €5, so it was a great deal. I tested it in the store to see if the belts weren't broken, and they weren't. I also found this DVD RAM disc. That's a nice addition to my weird format collection. A quick Google search tells me that it's probably from around 1992. It has most of the basic functions you would expect a cassette deck from this era to have. Deck A would be mainly used for playback, and Deck B for recording. I wanted to try this Tom Jones cassette, but then I found out that it probably wouldn't work. Maybe this Elvis Presley cassette will be better in showing me the basic functions. Of course, I'm not gonna let you hear the audio because YouTube would probably kill me. In the back you see a GXT microphone. That's not the one I'm using at the moment. At the moment I'm using a Yeti X because the GXT sounded really bad. My iPhone had better recording abilities than that. As you can see, the deck is working great. In a few minutes I'm gonna let you hear some audio. But first, let's do some cleaning. Cleaning will be easy because the deck looks wonderful, although there's some dust on the buttons and it has these weird speckles that almost look like paint. I tried blowing away the dust, but that didn't really work, so the microfiber cloth will work better, I think. By using some alcohol I tried removing these white speckles. I think it's paint, but I'm not sure. I was very careful not to rub away the paint, because black plastics like these don't really like alcohol. Finishing it off with a quick polish, because the top looked quite clean and normal. Maybe a little bit dusty. And then I continued on to the heads. I found some weird oily residue in the bottom of the door. I tried scrubbing it away with some alcohol. The first attempt worked really well, but still I went ahead to put a little bit more alcohol on, just to see if everything would clean away. And as you can see, the second try cleaned most of it away. And then I cleaned the heads. This head looked a bit damaged. I also cleaned the rest of the mechanism, just to be sure. Like the pinch rollers, as you can see, they were really dusty. So, let's see what it sounds like. Now, let me take you to an audiophile nightmare. Because the JVC is not my only cassette deck. I have a Technics, a Denon and a Yamaha. Oh yeah, and this reel-to-reel recorder. Mono, so not that important. All of the cassette decks are hooked up to this Sony graphic equalizer, but it only has outputs for 2 tape decks. So you might be wondering how I pulled it off. Or you won't, I'm not sure. By the way, this graphic equalizer is really great. I like it a lot. But to use 4 cassette decks on a graphic equalizer that was only designed for 2, I bought this thing. An analog audio switch, 4 times RCA stereo to 1 time RCA stereos, and it also has a headphone output. As you can see, it's a really light and plasticky design, but it works great. Now, let's try copying some audio from my iPad to a cassette. Let's do itty bitty 8-bit. I use that one a lot in my videos. Three minutes later, the song is over and the recording can be stopped. Let's take out this cassette and put it in deck A. I'm gonna put another cassette in deck B. Now let's try high-speed dubbing. As you can see, and it's quite clear in the name, high-speed dubbing can be used to copy a cassette over 2 times faster than normal, although people say this affected the quality of the recording. So 1.5 minutes, the high-speed dub's over. Let's put high-speed on the high-speed dubbed cassette and normal speed on the first recording. Let's move up 2 stories to my Denon cassette deck and see if there's any difference between the audio. Let's start with the normal speed one. Of course, it won't be any official test or something, but I just wanted to see if there's any difference. Let's move to the high-speed tape. Cassette tape, something. Let's hear. To be honest, I don't really hear any difference, although the peaks of this cassette appear to be a little bit lower than the normal speed one. But still, not that big of difference. And that brings us to the end of this episode of RetroFind. A great addition to my nightmare of an audiophile tower of cassette decks, this JVC stereo double cassette deck. Before we leave, I wanted to tell you how difficult I found it to film this episode, because lighting was so difficult. Take a look at the cassette decks without lighting. It's very dark, but when you put the studio lights on them, they almost become like a mirror. So I hope you still enjoyed this episode, but I do apologize. Did I say I hope to see you next time? Well, I hope to see you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe.